Well, like Bob said, I'm located in Wichita, Kansas. My company is Professional Home Buyers. And I guess I'll start off by giving you a little bit of background about myself and my company. Excuse me. I started about 10 years ago buying houses. I first started as buying rental properties. I actually still own about the first 10 or so houses I bought. Brought on a partner. I actually had my dad co-sign on a couple loans to get me started. At the time, I was waiting tables and I was going to school. And I bought a course on TV, Carlton Sheets. I'm sure most of you guys have heard of it or have owned it or have seen it. Bought the course, got very intrigued with it, bought my first property within the first couple months, and just started revving it up from there. I'm buying right now about 40 to 50 houses a year, trying to ramp it up to where I'm going to buy 52 houses this year and sell 52 houses this year. And I hope to possibly double that next year if I can get everything in place. And speaking of everything in place, I've got a really good real estate company. What I mean by that is I've got really good people in place. I've got a property manager who happens to be my sister who takes care of all my properties. I've got a couple of sales agents, and like Bob said, Sabrina is my sales manager, and she's on the line today. You still there, Sabrina?
I am here.
Okay, fantastic. She's going to help me out a little bit with this case study because she had a big part to do with the transaction. I do have a marketing assistant that helps with kind of the back-end marketing work, and I've got a project manager that takes care of all of our projects. I do a lot of rent-to-own, do a lot of fix and flip. I'd say I'm about 50-50 between rent-to-own and fix and flip. I like rent-to-own for a lot of different reasons. I'm not going to get too far into that, but that's a lot of long-term gain and appreciation, and a lot of different benefits to doing rent-to-owns, and then fix and flip, which is kind of one of the things that I'm going to show you today, is some tricks and tips of how I flip houses. I've made about every mistake in the book you can think. I've overpaid for properties. I've bought the wrong houses, been with the wrong business partners, bought in the wrong areas, underestimated repairs, overestimated repair prices. I've made about every mistake in the book. So hopefully some of the things that I have made mistakes on in the past that have helped me to be successful in flipping houses like this that I can show you today. What I'm going to show you today is kind of a niche that I've gotten into. It's something that not a lot of people get into, and that is to find a property that is very dysfunctional as far as floor plan, and going in and redoing the floor plan, knocking walls out, putting extra bathrooms in, things of that nature. Again, there's not a lot of competition, therefore people are kind of scared to get into that because they don't want to go in and do a whole gut. A lot of investors want to go in and they want to do carpet, they want to do paint, they want to do landscaping. They want to do a lot of simple things to improve the value of the house, which is great. We do a lot of that too. But if you can find houses like this that nobody really wants, you can really create a lot of opportunity, for yourself and really do well at it. So I guess I'll just kind of get into the property itself. We sold this property. I closed on this, I believe, the beginning of May as far as the sale, and we sold it for $120,000. We purchased it for $57,000. The repair cost ended up being right around $25,000. Holding costs of $3,500, and we ended up profiting $23,000 on this property. Our completion time was 4 months, which was from the day we bought it to the day we actually closed on it on the sale. And we sold this house in 1 day. And I'm going to show you exactly how we did that. So how we found the deal. This property was listed in the MLS. We try and get as creative as possible with our programs and our business, mainly because of the economy that we're in and the way the lending guidelines are. So we not only do like rent-own and programs like that, but we also have a program called Find a Fixer. And Sabrina came to me a few months ago and said, you know what, people are wanting different areas. People are wanting to be, certain areas, certain price range, certain amenities. And we were turning down a lot of buyers that had money that were qualified to buy a house. so from that came the Find a Fixer program, which we implemented a few months ago. And the gist of it is they find the house. It has to be a fixer-upper. You know, we give them criteria that it has to have. We buy the property and rent-own it back to them. They do the renovations to the house, and for doing that, they keep the equity. If there are things that they need us to do, like replace the roof, fix the foundation, you know, major things, we will step in and help with that. But for the most part, they do the work for the house. And it's really good for them and good for us because they walk in with equity, and that keeps us from having to do a lot of repairs ourselves. And it basically cuts the holding costs down to nil. You know, we don't have to pay interest, we don't have to pay taxes, insurance, and things like that because they're going to be paying right away on the monthly rental amount on the rent-to-own. Now, on this particular property, the buyer ended up backing out. They decided, I guess their dad or something told them what we paid for it, and you know, we bought it for $57. He agreed to pay $85. You know, because we were able to pay cash and close quickly, and he decided that he wanted to back out because he was paying too much and it needed too much work. So we got stuck with the property, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing. You know, we were going to have to wait a little while for us to get our money, so we were able to flip this property within 4 months and cash out. So as far as the acquisition goes, this was listed on the MLS, like I told you. The Fannie Mae owned home. They originally had it listed for $93,900, tax appraisals $125,000. And like I told you, this floor plan was just completely messed up. It was chopped up. It has a lot of square footage. I think it's about 2,600 square feet, if I remember right. But all the rooms were like 10 by 10 and 12 by 14 and just completely chopped up. And what we found these days is people really like open floor plans. There was no bathroom upstairs. There were two big, or actually kind of one big room. We separated the room, made two different bedrooms. And even in the master bedroom, after we separated, there was a lot of room in there to put a master bathroom. I think the room was probably like 35 by 15 or 16. So, I mean, it was just a huge room. So we went ahead and cut out 15 by 12-foot chunk of the master bedroom and made it a master bath. And so converted the house basically from a 3-bedroom, 2-bath to a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. The kitchen was completely dysfunctional. I'll show you pictures here in a minute, but they had cabinets in one side or in one room, and then they had cabinets in another room. So basically the kitchen was chopped in half. So we fixed that. So because of those things, we were able to get a good deal on the property. We offered them I think it was $50,000. Might have even been less. It was probably like $45,000.
It was 45.
But either it was 45.
It was 45. Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking. And we ended up negotiating it. They came. We went back and forth probably 5 or 6 times, if I remember right, and ended up negotiating at $57. And comparable sales were between $110 and $130. There were quite a few well, not quite a few. There were a couple properties that were actually about the same size, maybe a little bit smaller, that I think sold in the $130. So based on our renovation projection, it was pretty much a hard deal to pass up. So even though the buyer backed out. Financing. We fortunately found a private money lender not too long ago. I've got lines of credit and things with banks, but for the volume that we're doing and the fact that we needed to close quickly on a lot of these deals to make it more appealing to banks, we did find a private money investor. He's invested quite a bit of money with us just in the last 6 months. I'd say he's put up at least $1 million in funding. He funded the upfront purchase and closing costs of about $60,000. And the only reason we didn't ask for repair money in the beginning is because we thought the buyer was going to be doing the repairs on the property. And so we had about $25,000 to $30,000 of our own money out on this house, which I don't like to do. It makes our return on investment go down, and then when we've got multiple properties going at one time, to have $20,000 to $30,000 out on multiple houses really can eat up can really make your cash flow tight. So my recommendation, maybe not in the beginning, but we had to build a rapport with this gentleman. He at first only wanted to fund the upfront purchase, but now 4, 5, 6 months later, he is actually funding the repairs for us as well because we've built a track record with him. So here are some pictures of the property, and I want to apologize beforehand. I thought we had more before pictures and better before pictures, but our previous marketing assistant had accidentally deleted a lot of our photos on this property, and that's actually why or part of why he's our previous marketing assistant. So we're going to have to do with what we have here, but I hope you can see my cursor here. Can you see my cursor, Sabrina?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. This property was kind of questionable on whether it needed to be painted on the outside. And one of the things that we have really decided to do in the last couple months, especially in the last week, because our project manager was getting frustrated, was we get everything up front that we want to do to the property. And if it's questionable on whether it needs to be done, unless it's just a big, big ticket item, we just do it. So you can see the black and white is not that bad, but there was some peeling paint, there was some rotted siding. And by the time we tried to go in there and try and piece it together and touch up the paint and do all these things, we're probably going to spend $1,000 to $1,500 just touching it up. So we went ahead and pretty much on all of our houses, we just go ahead and paint it. We use a color. If you guys get paint from Sherwin-Williams, we like to use Dapper Tan. It seems to be very neutral, and ever since we started using this Dapper Tan, it seems like our houses sell a lot faster, and it's got a nice clean look to it. So we spent probably an extra, I don't know, $25. Actually, I think we spent a total of $2,500 painting the outside, which was well worth it, as you can see. Like I said, the floor plan was real chopped up. This right here was all walled off, so there was just a little bit of an opening here. This over here was walled off as well. And my pointer right here is where this wall is right here. This wall actually went all the way over, and there was just a very small opening to get into this little dining room. And not only did it feel small, but it also had, like I said, it had cabinets in the dining room as well, and then also in the kitchen, so you had to go from one room to another to be able to use all the cabinets. So we took all the cabinets out of the dining room, which actually wasn't really a dining room at the time, and moved the cabinets over to the other side. We put in a dishwasher. A dishwasher is actually one of the things that Sabrina really said, you know what, every property we do has to have a dishwasher. That's one of those little things that are going to make or break a sale. We've had multiple comments on some previous properties where a property didn't have a dishwasher, and just those little simple things will keep someone from buying a house, even if they love everything else, just because they don't want to wash dishes by hand. As you can see here, there's kind of a living space right here, and that door over there is this right here, and that used to be the only access to that room, and this room was completely walled off. So when you walked in, you had a living area right here that was really small and dysfunctional. Then you had another room back here that was kind of a bedroom that was very dysfunctional because it was real dark and dingy, didn't have any windows, really didn't have any purpose except for maybe storage or something like that. So we did a lot of work knocking that wall out, knocking this wall out, just completely opening the house, and it just had a huge difference on the feel when you walked in. Here's the master bathroom. It's about a 12 by 15 section of the master bedroom, as you can see through there. We just walled it off, put a double sink in. People love double sinks in master bathrooms. Did a stand-up shower, did a soaker tub, and you can't see it, but there's a master closet on this side. So again, we took it from a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with really no master bedroom. It did have a master bedroom, didn't have a master suite, to a 4-bedroom, 3-bath with a huge master suite. And in my mind, that's pretty much what sold the property. The fact that, I guess there was a lot of things. It was a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, had a 3-car garage on half an acre with a huge master suite like that for under $120,000. We probably priced it a little bit low, but we didn't want to come in and shoot high in this market because really the first 2 weeks on the market are the most important. So we felt like pricing our properties in the beginning, pricing them appropriately to sell, and putting them in the condition that you see here has really helped us to sell properties very, very quickly. Is there anything in our renovation, Sabrina, that we did that I didn't talk about that might be important here?
Well, we did not utilize the above-ground pool that was in the backyard. We pretty much decided to not do anything with that because we wanted to make this house kind of like a resort for the family, but the above-ground pool was not something we wanted to keep. So we let that go. It was on a half an acre lot, has everything that a family could desire, and that was just something we decided to get rid of. Other than that, you're doing great.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So let's talk about the rehab management. This is something I've struggled with for quite a bit, and we still struggle a little bit right now, but we're putting some tweaks to finally get it to where we need to. Like I said, the things that you know that you need to do, just get them done in the beginning. Don't try and save a couple pennies on a project because you're going to go back later and decide, oh, I should have updated that vinyl flooring that only cost a couple $100 to do in the bathroom. So we try and get everything up front that we need to do, get it on the list, and get it all done at once because that's added a week to 2 weeks to some of our projects because we go back, change our mind, and decide, yeah, we probably should have done that. That's one of the struggles we have. Another struggle that I've had is hiring people on an hourly basis to do work. We still do some of that on our properties when we do work orders and things like that and for some of our final touch-ups. But when you're doing a big renovation like this, you want to make sure that you have your bids in line, you have exact costs of what is going to be done, a very good list of what exactly is going to be done, so that way there's no going back later and saying, hey, you didn't bid this, or we didn't bid for this, and really trying to keep your costs fixed and have deadlines for your contractors. We did make a little bit of a mistake of not adding that master bath. Actually, that's something that Sabrina, I believe, thought of kind of towards the beginning of the process that we had to add later. But our original budget was $17,000. We added the master bath, which attributed to only really about $4,000 or $5,000 of our budget. And then we had some overages, some other things that we added that we didn't account for in the beginning. And we had a project manager manage this whole job. So I wasn't at the job site every day trying to keep on track with the subcontractors. He was out there making sure that everything was done and done the way that we like it. He knows exactly how we like it, so we don't have to, or he doesn't have to call us every day and say, hey, what do we need to do about this? Permits held us up a week or two. We had to pull permits in the middle, and that held us up, probably another 30 days because we had some plumbing issues and a couple of second inspections that had to be done. So in the beginning, we scheduled about 60 days for this project to be done. Ended up taking 90 days because we, added some things, had to pull some permits. So really, I think we probably could have taken 20 to 30 days off this renovation had we planned for the master bath and things like that beforehand. So again, I make mistakes all the time. We just learn from them and kind of take them into our next project and try and make sure that we don't do them again. So how did we sell this property? When I buy a property, I actually put it under contract. I go ahead and put it on our website. We do a lot of Craigslist marketing. And that's actually how we found, I believe, how we found the buyer that brought this to us is Craigslist. But we market the property as long as we can. So right when we put it under contract, we put it on our website. We market through Craigslist, rent to own, sell outright. We'll customize the home for you. A lot of different programs that we have. And then once we finish the project, then we go ahead and put it on the MLS. And that's how we sold this property. You know, do I pay more selling it through the MLS? Absolutely. I've got Sabrina and another licensed realtor in my office that I pay to list my properties. I'm a licensed agent myself. I could list the properties myself, but I just don't have the time to manage that. Do I pay a lot more by having agents on my staff? Absolutely, but it's well worth it. I get a lot more done. So we put this property on the MLS. And Sabrina, was that buyer that came through, did he know about the property from our website before we put it on, or did that agent just bring them when we put it on the MLS?
No, the agent brought it once we put it in the MLS.
Okay. Okay, I was thinking that they found it through our website, but anyway, so we did all the renovations we knew needed to be done to sell this house. We priced it accordingly, or we priced it where we knew it was going to sell quickly. And you know, some of the other houses in the area sold for $130. A lot of the other houses in the area were half the size, and they were only selling like 70s, 80s, 90s. So we had to take that into consideration. But because we priced it right, we did the renovations that we needed to on this property, we got 3 offers within about 24-hour period. So anytime we get multiple offers, whether it's through the MLS, whether it's you know, a couple of rent-to-own buyers that are looking at the property at the same time, we go back to them and say, give us your highest and best offer. So all 3 offers came below listing price. One of them was very close. Once we went back and said highest and best offer, we actually had the person that got it offered above asking price, asked for closing costs, and ended up right around or just above asking price on this property. So that's pretty much my case study. What I wanted to end with is kind of some tips. I kind of added some tips in the middle of the things that I have learned from in the past. But here are some additional things that you can kind of take and put into your own flips. First thing that I do is on each property is I know that I'm going to use the same materials on all jobs. 90% of the same materials are going to go into every single house. There's going to be some things that we have to buy that are, you know, we're going to have to go to the store and go pick out. But for the most part, you know, I can call my carpet guy and say, hey, go install this carpet, or I've got this house, and he knows exactly what carpet to install. He calls our carpet outlet. Carpet outlet knows me, gives me a call, says, hey, we're going to authorize this purchase. Okay, great, do it. He goes and picks up the carpet, and it's done. I don't have to go pick out the carpet every single time. We use Dapper Tan, like I said, on all of our exterior paint jobs. That's been the best paint color by far that we've ever chosen. We use a color called Dapper Tan on the inside, which is from Sherwin-Williams as well. And we found that that goes with everything. It doesn't matter if you have green carpet. It doesn't matter if you have, it doesn't matter what's in there. We haven't had one house where I'm sorry, basket beige. Dapper Tan's on the outside. Basket beige is what we use on the inside, and it goes with every single thing that we've ever put in the house. Things that we've capitalized on are properties with dysfunctional floor plans. You can get phenomenal deals because people just don't see the vision. You know, they can do carpet, they can do paint, they can replace countertops, but when you have a dysfunctional floor plan and you have contractors that know what they're doing, you can really make a lot of money just by knocking a few walls out. In fact, I thought about putting this on the case study because I didn't want to get too far off, but I just closed on a house where it was a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath, and it needed a new roof, needed new siding, it needed a lot of work. We bought it real cheap for like $30,000. Tax appraisal was in the 90s. I spent $3,000 knocking out 2 walls, making it a 3-bedroom, and then I knocked the bathroom wall out, made it a bigger bathroom, so basically made it a 3-bedroom, 2-bath as far as the floor plan's concerned. And then I put it on the market. An investor bought it and fixed it up. I ended up making, we made like $16,000 on that deal by investing $3,000 into the property. And we didn't have to go in and spend, you know, $20,000 or $30,000 on a big rehab. So again, those are the creative things that we do to flip houses quickly and to really thrive in this market. So Plan. I talked about that. Plan everything up front, spend a little bit of extra time making sure that the things that a buyer is going to see that need to be done are done. You don't want to have to go back in the middle and say, for the buyer to say, we really don't like this, we really wish this would have been done, because that's just more time on the market. Chances are the couple $100 that you spent could cost you, $1,000, $2,000, even $5,000 on the asking price. Another thing that's happened in the last couple months that we implemented was we want to make sure everything is completely done before it's put on the market. We have a checklist now that has to be signed by either one of my 2 sales agents and myself and the project manager. So the project manager has to give a sign-off, and then one of us 3 has to sign off as well. We had a property about 30 miles from town that we put on the market. And we had told the contractor to do certain things, and he didn't get them done. We just kind of took for granted that they were done. Well, first week on the market, we started getting negative feedback, like, the property wasn't in very good shape, and I'm going, what's going on here? So finally, I drove out to the property, and there was trash laying around. There was trim that wasn't put up. There was mud splattered on some of the light fixtures. It was a mess. So now we make sure that everything is completely done before we put it on the market, because the first 2 weeks on the market are the most important. And you're going to get your most showings within the first 2 weeks if you price the property right. So once those buyers come in the first 2 weeks, you got to make sure that it's shining and it's perfect. Things we look for in the beginning that some people don't is 3-layer roofs, Federal Pacific panels, and other things that an insurance company or inspector may flag. I've had a couple properties in the past. One of them had a 3-layer roof. We spent an extra $10,000 ripping it off, even though the roof was pretty much brand new. We spent another $1,200 changing out a Federal Pacific panel. Those are panels that insurance companies don't like because they can easily catch on, well, not easily, but I've never had one catch on fire, and I've never seen one catch on fire, but evidently they have some incidences in the past where they've caught on fire, so insurance companies won't insure the property. And if your buyer can't get insurance on the property, then you can't sell it. So those are things you're going to have to do regardless. So those are things that you really need to make sure that you look at. Also had one recently where we had to spend money ripping a big shed down. Even though it's an outbuilding and it really didn't have much function but to put some junk in, the roof wasn't in the greatest shape and the siding had some issues. So the insurance company actually wanted us to completely rip the shed down. So we had to spend money to do that. Those are things that we look at now. And Sabrina has been a key in pointing a lot of these things out in our renovations that need to be done. But she has really harped on me that the heat and air, the roof, the foundation, the siding are the big things that people look at when they go into a house. If they see an outdated furnace, they're going to look at utility bills. If they see a roof that needs to be replaced, they're going to be afraid that water's going to get in and damage their stuff. If they see a foundation problem, all they're going to think is, man, this thing's going to fall in a couple of years. Siding, same thing. The siding's going to rot away, and we're going to have to replace the siding. So when we go into a house, those are the big things that we look at to make sure that the heat and air isn't older or much more than 10 years old. The roof has at least 5 years of life left on it. And I think FHA requires at least 3 years or 5 years of life anyway, so may as well take that into consideration. And then foundation is obvious. That's something you just have to take care of. And siding and brick issues, if there's any issues there, then you definitely need a plan to make sure that you don't cut any corners by just painting rotted siding. So that's what I have for you on our case study.